Hi, everyone. It's Megan here from meganmins.com. And today's episode of the Productive Life Show is actually a personal update. So, if you love hearing a little bit behind the scenes, how things are going personally, then this is the show for you. So, if we haven't met before, I'm Megan Mins and I help online course creators, service providers, and coaches learn how to systemize, grow, and scale their business so that it's sustainable and enjoyable. And I'm really big on personal and work life integration, which is why I sometimes do these personal updates. So I'm excited for today's episode. So if you have not been following along, that's totally fine. But I am currently in the third trimester of our first pregnancy. So we have our very first child due in February. It's going to be a baby girl. As of this week, I'm 28 weeks along and officially in the third trimester, which is a milestone I just never thought would be happening for us. For those of you who don't know, we had 3 miscarriages leading up to this pregnancy. So the fact that I'm pregnant is still just so bizarre to me. And the fact that we're in the third trimester is pretty crazy. So I figured as we kick off the third trimester, right before we take off a couple of days for the US holiday of Thanksgiving, I would do a little second trimester recap. I did a first trimester recap back in, I think it was August. So if you want to catch that, you can go listen to that where I talk all about the first trimester, finding out we're pregnant, things like that. So for those who don't know, the second trimester is weeks 14 through 27 of your pregnancy. And man, I'm learning a lot. So the plan for today's little personal update is going over just my overall feelings, symptoms from the second trimester, how it has impacted my business, which for those of you who are currently parent business owners or maybe going to be soon, that might be really interesting. And then I'm also going to talk about how I'm prepping for maternity leave. So let's just jump in. And then I am currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you guys have any other questions about how I'm handling pregnancy, how it's affecting business, or anything else, feel free to ask it while I am here live. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that pop up. But let's just jump in. So like I was saying at the beginning, we did have 3 miscarriages leading up to this pregnancy. So it's still very weird to me that I'm even pregnant and this far along. And I just want to disclaimer this because I know when we were going through our miscarriages and fertility struggles, it was really difficult sometimes to hear other people talk about their healthy pregnancy. And so if that is your situation, I completely understand and respect if you need to just not listen to this episode of the podcast, or if you just need to tune out, because I still struggle with even talking about the pregnancy in a public forum. Posting on Instagram stories, even doing this really makes me a little uncomfortable at times because I remember how much that hurt. And so I really, it pains me to think that I'm hurting other people. So if you're going through that, just know, sending you my love. And I know that pain and it's really difficult. And if I ever seem uncomfortable, that's why. It's just like a weird adjustment to talking about this. Talking about business, easy. Talking about personal stuff, not easy. So I think another thing that really overall I'm feeling with this pregnancy as we get farther and farther along is how much our lives are going to change and how unprepared I feel for that. I don't even know how much they're going to change. And I almost can't even start to go down that path without spiraling and getting a little overwhelmed. I just know we're going to learn a lot. My own role in life and identity is going to shift a lot, which is going to be really crazy. So I'm just really trying to take things one day at a time. And overall, I still feel pretty behind with baby prep. So I haven't taken any classes yet. I haven't really started reading any baby books yet. I've bought them. They're on my nightstand. I've read a chapter maybe. We just started buying baby clothes, but we haven't washed anything. Our crib mattress just got delivered today. So we're getting closer. And on one hand, it's only November. February feels far away. But I also know a lot of women go into labor early and have their babies early. So it also feels like not very far away, like 13 more weeks until our due date seems like a really short amount of time. So that's just pretty crazy. So I am definitely over here a little bit behind and taking things day by day and just doing my best. And I think that really models the biggest lesson I have personally learned in this entire fertility journey, and mainly this specific pregnancy, has been to do my best to let go of controlling everything, which is really difficult for me. And I think for most of us, controlling things makes us feel really comfortable. So when we can't control it, it makes us really uncomfortable. But in my previous pregnancies where we did have miscarriages, I was trying to be super perfect and super rigid and follow the rules and just be this like perfect little pregnant person, and it never worked out. And then this pregnancy, if you haven't listened to our first trimester recap, I go in more detail, but this one was a surprise. We didn't do any fertility treatments. I was not eating healthy. I was like literally drinking alcohol the day before we found out. And I feel like this example of just like chill out has been reinforced this entire pregnancy, of just like, this is going to turn out however it's going to turn out, and nothing I do can actually change the outcome. So it's a nice lesson to be learning, but it goes against my planning nature as well. So it's kind of tricky. But it's been funny because this lesson really models what I teach in business, right? Like, you have to go through this experience to learn what you need to learn to have the next step in your journey. And so I'm really learning to embrace that on the personal end as well. So I'm just doing my best and trusting this will all work out how it's supposed to. And if I'm not totally ready when baby comes, it'll still all work out. Hey, Caroline, thanks so much for asking how I'm feeling. I am excited to take the next couple of days off and disconnect from the computer, but I'm feeling good. We'll get into symptoms in a second, but I'm definitely starting to feel some third trimester symptoms. The second trimester was pretty delightful overall, so we'll be digging into that in just a minute, but thanks for asking. I think one benefit for those of you who don't know is that I have PCOS, and so for the year to 2 years where we were having a lot of miscarriages and fertility issues, I developed cystic acne, like in the whole lower half of my face, and I had never dealt with that in previously because I was on birth control. So I had this huge cystic acne issue that was just getting worse and worse. And this pregnancy has gotten rid of the acne, which is very nice. And I'm very grateful for that. So thank you, baby, for clearing up my skin. I have no clue what will happen after I have this baby, though. My acne may come back. My hair may all fall out. Who knows? But that's been a nice, pleasant surprise since we are having a little girl. There's an old wives' tale that they steal your beauty. And it's been nice that she is giving me some clear skin. So I'm very grateful for that. But I think one thing that really surprised me that I've taken away from this pregnancy was the release from diet culture that it's given me. I've always been this yo-yo dieter my whole life, and always, did keto, did 4-Hour Body, always doing these extreme, all in or all out diet methods. And being pregnant has been so nice because there's just no expectation to look a certain way. And I'm really hoping I can find a way to bring that same mindset and energy into post-baby life. It might be really difficult, especially with the expectation to lose the baby weight and things, but that has been such a nice experience to have as a woman, is the bigger you get, the more recognition you get, which is so reverse how most of us live our lives. So that has been really enjoyable and a nice surprise. So let's jump into symptoms. So again, this is just a big old personal update all about the pregnancy. So if you're here for personal updates, you're in the right place. And I am live. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But second trimester symptoms. Everyone told me that the second trimester is the best trimester. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to just have the best time. And I will say that there was a middle spot there where I felt like that's true. But it was definitely a transition in to the second trimester and a transition out of the second trimester. So the first 3 to 4 weeks of the second trimester, I was still feeling all the first trimester symptoms of being really disinterested in food, feeling queasy all the time, utter exhaustion. So I was absolutely not feeling the joy of the second trimester at first. And then around 18 weeks, maybe, is when I started to feel energy slowly pick up. Interest in food slowly improve. So definitely felt like this gradual transition and not a flip of the switch, which makes sense, honestly. At 20 weeks, we did our anatomy scan, which is the really long ultrasound where you get to see everything, and everything looked great, all healthy results, which was such a relief. And baby, at that time at least, was measuring tall. For those of you who don't know, I'm 5'11", and I'm very tall, and I have tall genes. So this baby will probably also be tall. And she has been consistently measuring like almost a week ahead of her due date. So we'll see if that ends up meaning anything. Around that time, we also bought our very first home. So we moved at the end of October, and we moved from a 3-story townhouse that we were renting to a 1-story home built in the 60s. And it has been so nice to transition into from renting to owning. I mean, moving from a 3-story to 1-story has been like such a joy and so much easier. I've really been grateful for that. And we have just been knee deep in like improving the house since we moved in. We've painted everything on the inside, all the exterior paint. Landscapers have been doing work on the outside of our house for like almost a month. We had people here fixing our fence today. We had electrical issues. You know, it's an old home. It had been mostly renovated, but needed some TLC. So that's been a huge project kind of going on top of work and pregnancy and a pandemic, go figure, has been the home project. But it's been really, really fun. And I feel really grateful for the neighborhood we've moved into because it's such a nice little suburban neighborhood. And everyone moving in is people like us starting a family for the most part. And there are, I think, over 4 pregnant women on our single street alone. There's this huge Facebook group. They have a mom's club. They put little signs. The HOA puts signs in your yards when you move in and when you have a baby. And there's lots of activities. So I'm really excited to get to know our neighbors. We've started to meet them. And I'm really excited for the community because some of my friends are having babies, but I think it'll be a really nice shift to have neighbors who have babies who we can support each other kind of in the moment a little bit more. So I think that's been a nice shift, especially from townhouse where you don't know anyone you live next to actually knowing the people who own the homes around you has been really cool. Also in the second trimester, we did the gestational diabetes test where you drink the sugar drink. And we don't have gestational diabetes. So that's really exciting. Honestly thought we might because all this baby wants to eat is a quarter pounder from McDonald's. Like that is all I want to eat. I eat a quarter pounder almost every day, it seems. And she also loves chocolates and sweets. So I'm just like, give me a cheeseburger at lunch and give me like a lot of chocolate in the afternoon. And I'm really happy. So that has been like my diet. So I'm definitely not eating super healthy. Like I said earlier, I'm not being like the model pregnant person, but everything's going smoothly. And I'm just grateful for all of it since I just didn't even know if we'd ever get to experience this. So that's been funny. And I just make fun of myself. So another symptom is just that she feels really big. Like I posted on Instagram stories that I couldn't believe how big my bump was already. And everyone who follows me on Instagram is like, just wait, it's going to get bigger. So I think that'll be crazy to experience. I feel like I look farther along than I already am, but it's been really nice. And we can feel her move. And Johnny, my husband, has actually been able to feel her move from the outside, which is really cool. Now we can like see my stomach move when she moves, which is just so bizarre. So bizarre. But also a nice little transition to be experiencing. And then I would say the last couple of weeks of the second trimester, just like it was kind of an evolution easing into it with symptoms, it's absolutely been an evolution easing out of it and into the third trimester. So even though this is my first official week in the third trimester, I feel like I've been feeling the third trimester symptoms for at least 2 full weeks now, waking up every 3 to 4 hours to go to the bathroom and then having a really hard time falling back asleep, sore lower back, overall lower energy levels, and also like super strong urge to start organizing and prepping and nesting for baby. I think especially since we actually have a nursery now. So that's kind of like the symptoms I've been experiencing. A little bit of a roller coaster this whole ride, and specifically in the second trimester. And we are still not sure on the name, not because we're trying to keep it a secret. We just literally haven't decided. And I've heard a few stories of people who thought they were going to name their baby one thing, and then they're in the hospital holding the baby and they realize the baby should have a different name. So we have just a few options, and we're just really open to seeing what happens over the next 3 months and where we end up with names. So if you have any name suggestions, feel free to share them. So those are kind of the symptoms overall. So now let's talk about how the pregnancy, especially during the second trimester, has affected the business. Because it absolutely has. Like I always talk about, personal life and business are super integrated. So of course, being pregnant has impacted that. So just like I talked about in my first trimester recap, my mornings have had to become super flexible because I often feel super tired in the morning, especially now that I'm not getting a lot of sleep or good quality sleep at night. So I definitely have really flexible mornings. I never have any calls or meetings in the mornings, and I very rarely have like deliverables in the morning that can't be moved around. I was actually going back and listening to my first trimester recap earlier, and I talked a lot in that about how I was going to start working out every morning. Definitely hasn't happened. I think there were a couple weeks there where I did okay. But ever since we moved, it's been really difficult for me to get back in the habit of working out. And I'm just feeling really tired. And instead of doing like Peloton or cycling classes or even yoga, what we have been doing since we moved is going on a lot of walks. So we go on long walks outside in the evenings, which is also a really nice way for us to meet some new neighbors. So I feel like we're outside more and walking more, and the act of moving alone is super active. But I definitely haven't followed through on the idea of working out every day, but that's okay. I'm giving myself grace. And I think one other way that this is really, not only one, we're going to talk about a few, but another way this has affected the business is it has changed my mindset a lot with decision-making and where I spend my time. I'm super intentional. Every single day it gets more and more intentional about where am I spending my time? Is this where I should be spending my time? And does this help the business scale and grow forward? Or am I holding the business back by spending my time this way? So I'm having a lot of conversations with my team behind the scenes about elevating their responsibilities, hiring new people. We are going to be hiring some new contractors pretty soon. We're going to start that process, so keep an eye out for that. And really just thinking about how we can continue to grow and support our clients in an even higher level way without it necessarily being all on me, which is what I even help my clients do with their clients. So it's just been like an up level. So just like when you make an investment in yourself and you instantly up level and have this higher level of commitment and you start making decisions a different way, I feel like the second trimester is when I felt a similar shift with business. Like, okay, this baby's coming, so we're going to need to make some decisions in a higher level way. We're going to need to think about this from a higher level perspective than maybe we would have. And we're going to do that faster. So it's like a faster up level, which is exciting, but of course brings up mindset issues like all business owners experience as you're trying to grow your own business. So I've had to become really strict with boundaries and having really honest conversations with my team kind of throughout this whole journey. And we're still doing that. And we always will. Honest conversations with team are important. But I think my mindset has shifted a little bit where it's not just how can we be better? It's how can we make sure we're as prepared as possible and our clients are as supported as possible before this big milestone happens. Another big shift with business that happened was we were going to do 1 to 2 promotions before the year was up. And we actually canceled those. Originally, it was like getting bumped back and rescheduled. And we ended up just recently deciding to just call it and say, we're not going to worry about any promotions for 2020 or like any big challenges or anything like that, because I really need to focus on the back end of the business and make sure my energy is either spent serving our clients or serving my team and really being in the CEO position of making hiring decisions, smart financial decisions, and then I have the capacity to do that. And so that meant I had to really release my ego. If you are in business and you have done a launch or promotion, sometimes you get that big ego boost from doing those, right? You feel really good. You have a successful launch. We feel a lot of worthiness and momentum coming from big sales events like that. And I had to release the ego and not feel bad for changing our plans and say no to a potential cash injection to say yes to longer term sustainability and success as a company and for our clients. So that was a big shift. I actually did an Instagram stories on it last week, I think it was, maybe 2 weeks ago, about how changing plans behind the scenes like this is really normal. People just don't talk about it, but it can really trigger imposter syndrome, and it can make you doubt yourself as well when you're in the middle of those changes. So that was a big one, is just like, you know what? We're just not going to do that promotion. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to spend our energy as a team in these more important areas instead. So that's been a big shift as well. Another way that the pregnancy has impacted business in the last couple of months is making those higher level decisions like I was talking about. So transitioning to employees is something we're working on, hiring new team members, making strategic decisions just in all areas. All along, I just keep reminding myself and reminding our team that our true goal, our most important goal, is to have our clients set up for success. And that if we can do that, cash injections and all that stuff is less important. So anytime we have to cancel a promotion or shift gears, you know what? If we're helping our clients be set up for success, that's where our priority is. And the beauty of our business model is we do have monthly recurring revenue coming in. We are not cash strapped, and we're not necessarily fighting for sales and starting from scratch every single month, which is why I love the group coaching business model so much, because it allows you to have that high impact, high support, without necessarily having to like do a big promotion or launch every single month and being launch dependent. So really grateful for this business model. But definitely I'm just in all areas of life, my own investments, how I spend money, what personal development I seek, all of this is being challenged to make decisions from a higher level place than I was even a couple of months ago. And we're just making a lot of team changes behind the scenes. Right before this, I was on a meeting with one of my team members talking about how we can shift her role to grow and expand, who we need to hire to backfill some of those responsibilities, all in the name of growing and scaling our own company. So definitely some good changes. And then definitely some changes that have been more challenging where I've had to just personally kind of let go of the ego. We're also in the middle of updating Empowered CEO curriculum from the ground up. So also having to find time for creation and protect it very intentionally. So lots of fun stuff happening when it comes to the business side of things. And then when it comes to prepping for maternity leave, I'm obviously not an expert at that yet because I haven't gone through maternity leave yet. So I've just been kind of sharing tidbits along the way with these personal updates. I really want to do like a maternity leave debrief after we've actually done it, so I can be really transparent about what worked and what I learned from it, what we could do better next time. But we are doing everything we can behind the scenes to just be as prepared as we can. So we're updating all of our internal processes, making sure those are up to date, making sure we're making smart team changes, elevating team members into higher level responsibilities, hiring new team members, especially to take over a lot of ongoing responsibilities and administrative work, building out our coach training program for empowered CEOs so that we can have more coaches in there supporting our clients and accountability advisors. And I honestly feel like the biggest way I'm prepping for maternity leave is by making a ton of decisions. It's really difficult. Sometimes I get like maxed out with how many decisions I can make. I'm curious if you've ever felt that way before, if you're a business owner, but I feel like I'm needing to make really high level strategic decisions constantly. And I'm really trying to get comfortable with that. And it's making me practice having confidence in my own decisions and releasing this idea that there are wrong decisions. So it's something I help our clients with. And I've gone through learning this so many times in my own business, but we are still always continuously relearning this in our own lives, right? So I feel like prepping for maternity leave is making me relearn this again. I'm having to make decisions that affect other people, that affect our clients, that affect who we're investing in, and a lot of things. And it's really stretching that muscle of mine. So that's just a big part of how we're prepping for maternity leave, is all of these decisions happening behind the scenes. Like I mentioned, we're definitely focused on supporting and coaching our clients while I'm on maternity leave. We're not pausing anything. Everything's going to keep running as normal. So that is just our number one priority behind the scenes, making all the decisions we need to, all the action steps to prepare for that, hiring team members to make sure everyone feels really supported. So that is a huge, huge focus behind the scenes. And then I'm also planning on recording some content. I haven't done it yet. That's like, I'll do that in December or January. But I really do want to record a few weeks of live streams so that we can still publish a video every week. My team might be creating content while I'm on maternity leave, but that way there's just spaciousness to be fully present in adjusting to my new role as a mom and as a parent, and adjusting to motherhood and recovery as well. So that's something we're planning on doing. And then I think another thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around when it comes to prepping for maternity leave is what I want my schedule to look like on the other side. I know I will learn so much when I'm there, so I'm not trying to make the perfect decision around it right now. But I don't know if I would prefer to work a lower number of days, but do full work days, or if it's easier to work more days of the week, but like less hours. Which sounds like a very specific question to be asking, but we do want to have some type of childcare support. So daycare or nanny or babysitter or family, we're looking into options. So that's been a big thing that I'm kind of trying to anticipate is what's going to happen after that. We already have some events lined up. I'm doing some guest expert trainings on the other side. I have some virtual speaking events lined up for 2021. So that's all really exciting. So it's going to be this weird couple of months next year where we're kind of just waiting to see when I actually have a baby and go from there. But like I said, I want to share the entire maternity leave debrief. So that'll be coming in 2021, I guess, where I can share more about what worked, what didn't, what I would do differently, all the things. But that's currently what we're doing to prep for maternity leave. It's mainly cleaning up the back end, making sure we're ready to go, and making a lot of hiring decisions and focusing on training. So that's kind of like the big effort for sure. So yeah, that's kind of the second trimester recap right there. If you are here live with me and you have any, questions you want me to answer, feel free to pop them in the chat and I can answer those. But we're just really hoping for a smooth third trimester, a healthy delivery in 2021. And if you like seeing more personal, sorry, I have the hiccups. I guess that's a pregnancy symptom I didn't mention is breathing issues, which you've probably heard on my live streams, hiccups, all of those fun things. But if you like more personal updates, then definitely be sure to follow along on Instagram, where it's Megan_Mins is my handle. If you're not watching me currently on Instagram, but be sure to follow along because I do share, some little bump updates and a little bit more behind the scenes of what's going on over on Instagram versus on the podcast. I try to focus on business a little bit more over here. But yeah, let me know if you have any specific requests. If you guys are curious about anything, I'm happy to talk about pregnancy more. And I can try to get more comfortable with that as we wrap up this pregnancy. But thank you so much again for all of your support. For those of you going through fertility issues, like I said earlier, I understand because we went through that. And so my heart goes out to you. Talking about this is definitely something I'm still adjusting to. But for everyone who's been here along our journey of miscarriages and then where we are now, I just want to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for everyone who's ever sent me a direct message sharing your own story. I really wish more people talked about their journey to being a parent because I think until you have a miscarriage, you don't realize how many people have miscarriages. So I'm excited to start seeing the trend I'm seeing on the internet where more and more people are talking about them. So anyways, I just want to say, if you're going through that, just know I'm here to support you however I can and cheer you on along the way and just be there. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here along my journey. And hopefully I will see you next week on our next episode of the Productive Life Show. We'll be talking about business and scaling your business. So I will get back to the business tactical and strategic. But thanks again for listening to a little bit more of a personal update. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you're in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.